Well, good morning. To those of you who were here yesterday, good morning again. We're so happy to have you back. As you can see, we need your help to fill as we, continue to reopen our doors. I'm Tracy Mason. I'm the general manager here at ASU Kerr, a division of ASU Cultural Affairs. And we appreciate you coming here. We love doing these shows, performances, programs that are basically free. We do have a cost to do them, but it is a wonderful way of getting out in the morning. It's a wonderful way for us to connect with our communities, which is our mission, after all, connecting communities. And so we very much appreciate you being here and want to just thank you for those who are doing the donation. We do a suggested donation of $5. Of course, we want for people to come even if $5 is not on their budget. And you can do that in the box office there. We will definitely take that. We also appreciate when you come here also to find out about our shows and our ticketed events. That really helps keep things going as well. Or if you have interest in doing some kind of other type of event, a party or a wedding, or we do those too. So again, we're just so grateful to have you back here. I want to just mention a couple of things. If you are new to ASU Kerr or haven't been here in a while and you need the restroom, it's right back that direction. And also, if you would check your devices and just silence them so as not to interrupt this amazing program today. And then the other thing, I just want to mention a few of our upcoming events in case you're not aware. This Saturday, we have an amazing event that was just picked up by the Arizona Republic. And it is called All the World's a Song, Shakespeare in Jazz. So it's a blending of Shakespeare's words in fantastic jazz with an award-winning vocalist. And it's this Saturday night, November 13th. Then we have on November 17th, we have Gather, Undoing Time is the theme. And it's going to be a fantastic event, which is also tied into what the ASU Art Museum is doing. They're doing a whole exhibit for about 6 months, Stacy, on this very theme, Undoing Time. So it's tied in with that. Then our next Tuesday morning music and tea will be December 7th. It's the Community Flute Ensemble, so that should be wonderful. And then our next coffee is January 19th, presented by Arizona Opera, again, on Carmen. So with that all being said, again, we're just so grateful to have you here in person, yay! And it is hybrid, so those who couldn't make it, who are still feeling the trepidation of this pandemic, can watch it from home as well. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Courtney Clark from Arizona Opera.
Good morning. How are you this morning? It is a beautiful day, and I am really, really happy to be here. Thank you for joining me. My name is Courtney Clark. I am the Director of Community Alliances at Arizona Opera. Coffee at Kerr was created to give you a heightened and deepened understanding of the operas being performed on our Arizona Opera main stages in our community, as well as how opera relates to today. This program is a part of Arizona Opera's Community Alliance programming, and today I'd look forward to enhancing your understanding of the music, the theme, and the history behind the upcoming opera, El Milagro del Recuerdo. So, I'm gonna put my mask right here so I can know where it is when I am done. And to start, I'd like to give a land acknowledgement. In Phoenix, we, along with the people who serve, live, and work on this land of the Akimel, Odom, and Hohokam people, must continue to show recognition and respect for the indigenous peoples who have been and continue to be stewards of this land. If you are unfamiliar with the land that you occupy, or the indigenous people of that land, I do highly recommend you looking that information up. I also find it very important to acknowledge that today's lecture will center Mexican, Spanish, and ancient pre-Hispanic cultures. So let's unpack and get started. Welcome. So, El Milagro del Recuerdo, a little information about the slide that we're getting ready to basically grab your interest. It was commissioned by the Houston Grand Opera. It premiered by Houston Grand Opera in December of 2019. This video clip was used as a trailer, a promotional trailer, of course, to get everyone involved and excited about the opera, as well as the holiday spirit. Today, it is a co-production of Arizona Opera, Houston Grand Opera, and San Diego. Let's listen and watch. A wonderful bird's eye view into just a little peek into what to expect. So let's unpack this opera. I hope you guys are ready for a good lecture. And you know, El Milagro is a fairly new opera for myself, so I am really, really looking forward to seeing it on stage for the first time. So let's unpack it. A little, long story short, it's the journey of a lifetime for this family, and it's also a family affair. It's the holiday season in Mexico. El Milagro del Recuerdo blends the Mexican folk music styles with operatic voices to tell the story of a family divided across the US-Mexican border. So, who's who and what's the rundown? When I say the rundown, I'm talking about the juicy details behind these characters, the drama. That's what opera is all about, right? So let's unpack this and let's learn a little bit about the juicy details here. So I have a chart analysis here, a character analysis that I just kind of created to give you a full scope of the character, the description of that character, their voice type, and what is it? The rundown, absolutely. So our first character that we're going to unpack is Renata. Renata is Laurentino's wife. She's the mother of Raphael. Her voice type is Mezzo-Soprano, meaning she is the second to the highest voice, female voice sung in opera. Very, very beautiful, mellow, cello-y like sound. She's a strong and steadfast wife, and she just wants her husband, Laurentino, to stay home in Michoacán, Mexico permanently and end his long trips across the US-Mexican border. She craves to keep her family together and out of harm's way of a changing world while her husband dreams of a better future across the US border. Next, we have Laurentino. And Laurentino is Renata's loving husband and father of Raphael. He has a baritone singing voice, which is the second to the lowest. We have bass, and we have baritone, and we have bass, and sometimes you have a mixture. But a true baritone has a very distinctive, just, beautiful tone. He is a baritone. It is the second to the lowest male singing voice in opera. And he just comes home for Christmas. He surprises everyone. As you know, these trips can sometimes be a weekend, a day, a month, or months. And he comes home and surprises the family for Christmas and returns home to his small hometown, excuse me. We have Lupita. And Lupita Oh, she's so fun. She is Renata's best friend and Chucho's wife. She is mother of Araceli and Silvio. Now, it is very important to note that Araceli and Silvio are both spoken roles in the opera. So they do not sing at all. They do not have any singing parts, but they do play a very prominent role in the opera. But again, they do not sing, and therefore I just don't have them in the juicy details of the rundown. So let's go ahead and continue here. Lupita has a mezzo-soprano voice. Second to the lowest, the second to the highest soprano in opera. And she desires to be an American girl, as she wants and has dreams of something more than her everyday life and familiarity in Mexico. Then we have Chucho, another fun character, Lupita's husband and Laurentino's best friend, father of Araceli and Silvio. And he is a tenor, which is the highest singing male voice in opera. And Chucho is ecstatic about relocating his family to the United States, even though he will be at the bottom of the food chain, okay? He knows that he will be in the lowest of the socioeconomical rung. But he also knows that it's a journey of a lifetime, and it's worth it. We'll move on. We have Abba. Abba is Chucho's father, and he is infectious. This is an infectious character. I'm just going to be biased and say he's my favorite character in the opera. He's comedic, but he also has a lovely baritone voice, and he's an infectious grandpa who never had the courage to leave home. And he wonders what his parents, who died when he was an infant during the revolution, would think of him now. Then we have Josefina, which is Renata's mother. She's a mezzo-soprano, and she's not only a pillar of strength for her daughter Renata, who is just grappling with the struggles of losing her family bond. She is also the matriarch of this group. She really holds them together without telling them they're wrong. You know how your mom wants to tell you you're wrong, but she just has a way of going all the way around. You are wrong. You are wrong. So we have El Padre Matias. He's a priest. He's also a tenor, beautiful high tenor voice. And he, as well as Josefina, are pillars of strength for the community, well, in particular, this family. However, going through the changes with them, he's starting to scrutinize his own decision to leave worldly life. He starts to compare some of the life-changing decisions that they're having to make for their family with priesthood. Very, very, very prominent moment in the opera. And we'll talk about that aria between Abba and the priest, El Madre Matias. So we've unpacked the characters. You've got a little bit of the rundown, the juicy details. Of course, I can't spoil it for you because it goes in a little bit more detail. But let's meet the composer. And I just want to give you a little information. I do apologize. I hope you can see that picture. Every picture that I found, it was just a little hazy, so I hope you get a good idea of Javier Martinez. That is our composer. He was born in 1978 in Mexico City into a family of mariachi musicians. His parents, Felipe Perez, which is on his maternal side, and Blas Martinez, which is on his paternal side, both were former members of the Mariachi Vargas de Teclian. I believe it's de Teclian. Please excuse me if I did not pronounce that correctly, which means the best mariachi in the world. And he and his family and his father, Jose Pepe Martinez, led the best mariachi in the world for over 40 years. A little bit about how he started his career. He was 17 years old as a violinist and singer. And from then until now, to today, he has dedicated his life to Mexican music, directing, creating vast record productions for various singers and mariachi groups. He's very active in his work. In 2015, he was summoned to be an arranger for the performance of the opera El pasado nunca se termina, The Past Never Ends, or The Past Never Dies. And that creation, along with his father, Jose Martinez, and Leonard Foyo, who you'll meet next, get a little information about next, produced this opera, and it was produced by Lyric Opera of Chicago. In 2017, he was summoned to continue the legacy of his father and composer, and together with the writer Leonard Foyo, they were able to create the third opera of mariachi, El Milagro del Recuerdo, and it was produced by Houston Grand Opera. And the work was the first opera in the world. All three of these, actually, were, and I'll mention that. I think I've left one off because there was Cruzar and of course, El pasado nunca se termina. The third is El Milagro. And they are the first operas written for mariachi. So let's move on to our librettist and director. He is a superstar, okay? And just so happens to have a passion for opera. We have Leonard Foyo. He is a theater and opera director as well as librettist. He directed films such as Moby Dick for opera, Cold Mountain. The Moby Dick film, I must say, was a PBS movie, filmed for PBS. You had Everest and The End of an Affair, produced by Houston Grand Opera, and Stonewall, 3 Decembers, and It's a Beautiful Life. And he's also directed for Broadway, to name a few. Something that I do remember is the Masterclass with Zoe Caldwell, Patti LuPone, and Audra McDonald. It was phenomenal. And just Wait Until Dark with Marissa Tomei and Quentin Tarantino. I mean, this man has put his hands on some of the most infectious and profound works today. Thurgood with Lawrence Fishburne, filmed for HBO. Golden Pond with James Earl Jones, and you have Cicely Tyson on The Gin Game, and the accolades go on. But what we are most interested in is how he became involved with this opera, and he's an opera librettist. He wrote and directed Cruzar la Cara de la Luna, which I do believe, and to cross the face of the moon, which I believe was performed in 2015 with Arizona Opera. It's just amazing that he wrote the libretto for all three of Martinez's operas. And I think I'm gonna move on. I think that's enough to be said. His mariachi operas have played across the country and on 3 continents, all 3 of them. Okay, so now we're going to dig into the story, okay? And set the atmosphere for you and give you some history, some cultural themes, and we'll discuss the music. Where did they get the story? When Cruzar la Cara de la Luna, To Cross the Face of the Moon, premiered in 2010, it became the first mariachi opera in the world, telling the story of Mexican immigrant families and all that they left behind in search of a better quality of life, as well as the new life they build in their new country. The prequel, this is where we are now, To that work, El Milagro del Recuerdo, the miracle of remembering, brings us all back, all audiences back, to where the story of Cruzar all began. Michoacán, Mexico, home to migrating monarch butterflies. Butterflies, I want you to know that it is it is a constant leitmotif or reoccurring theme in the opera. In both Cruzar and El Milagro, butterflies is a symbolic theme, and you will see them throughout, and they are absolutely lovely, representing the butterfly reserves of where all of this took place in Michoacán, Mexico. So let's move forward. Now I have here from Javier Martinez, the composer, in his words, and I think it is very important for you to hear his words about where this story came from. We can have our own assumptions, but there's something special when you have a composer and a librettist that are still alive to tell their story. And he's still alive, very much alive, and we're really, really blessed with having that. He says, and so here's how the adventure began. I remember the first meeting my father, Pepe Martinez, had with Mr. Leonard Foyo in the city of Kerr. My mother, Angelina, my sister Rosario, and I accompanied to help him with the translations. That was an excuse because he spoke English very well. They wanted to know, they just really wanted to find out what the project was all about. And there they were, all sitting there listening to the story of Cruzar la Cara de la Luna, crossing the face of the moon. He said, I was excited for my father because I knew that this would be something very big. The first mariachi opera. Imagine the honor of being the first one to do something like this. And that is how the journey of the butterflies began. The butterflies, that symbolism there of home and remembering, the magic of remembering. The truth is that I am very grateful to all the people who had the confidence in me to continue with the legacy of my father, El Milagro del Recuerdo. Has been a great adventure for me and a dream come true. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it, and remember, it is so easy to forget, but it is a miracle to remember. So here, Javier Martinez, guys, wanted to continue the legacy. The story began with him wanting to continue the legacy of his father's name and his previous operas by composing and having Leonard Foyo direct El Milagro del Recuerdo. How special. Where, when, why was the opera written? So, recap, Javier Martinez composed the opera as a prequel to two other operas. That was Cruzar, La Cara de la Luna, and El Pasado Nunca Se Termina, both of which were composed by his late father, Pepe. He was graciously known as Pepe Martinez. And they both worked with the librettist and director Foyo to see this one-act mariachi opera come into full fruition. It is very important to note as well that Leonard Foyo wrote the Spanish libretti for all three of Martinez's operas. So, let's see what you've kind of taken in from this point. Let's see what you've learned. So I have the answers up here, but let me see if you could, I just want to hear your voices. So who's our composer, friends? You've got it. What's the original language? Yes. And who's the librettist? You've got it. And this is new. There are 9 scenes to this opera. So you will not be sitting in the opera house for hours. There are 9 operas. It is in one act. It was privately published. You know, I love to dig and find special details about things. And even though it premiered December the 19th, I believe, 2019 in Houston with the Houston Grand Opera. It was privately published August 12th, 2019. The time period of this opera, the setting is 1962. There's a lot going on in U.S.-Mexican relations during that time. The place, Michoacán, Mexico. This opera, estimated running time 1 hour and 15 minutes with no intermission. That means you're going to just need to lean into everything all at once. There's no mental break there, and there are some highs and some lows, and it is performed in Spanish, and there will be English subtitles. One of three, El Milagro, one of three of the first mariachi operas ever written. Yes.
With the English subtitles, how will that be presented in the opera? Is that going to be on monitor or in our playbooks?
It will be above the, and so let me let you all know that I have been here in Arizona and in this position. This is my second week, and so I know, right? And so traditionally, subtitles are above the stage for you. But let me give you, as an opera major, vocal performance major, and an ardent purveyor of opera, it is really, I recommend that you read the synopsis, you take this information and that you're getting here today, and let the music tell you the story, and then later go back and read the subtitles, or try to read the subtitles ahead of time, and so that you don't lose focus of just this tiny, beautiful body of work that happens in just 1 hour and 15 minutes. That is so rare. But did I answer your question? Thank you. Okay, well, let's move on. That was a great question. So I have director and librettist Leonard Foyo, because we want to know why this opera was written. We want to know why it's so impactful, why it is so special. And director and librettist Leonard Foyo comments, this piece deals with the basic issues surrounding the choices people have to make in life. It tells universal human stories. How do we make decisions about what's important? I hope it resonates with everyone. The librettist and director Foyo is charging audiences with this question while you're enjoying the holiday spirit of Christmas, that in the back of your mind, you're being empathetic about this family, and then want you to think about your own tough decisions that you've had to make. How do we make decisions about what's important for ourselves and our own families, and at what cost? That is the seed that is being planted while you are entertained and while you are taking in and leaning into the story. It's very, very a beautiful way of setting your mindset. So, what to watch and listen for? So I compiled a list of some of, I think, the best arias. I shouldn't do that, but I do. I'm biased. I love all of the works that are presented in this composition, but I'm going to go ahead and give you just some things to listen and watch for, and then let you hear some of this music. I know you are tired of hearing me talk. The composer artfully marries. So I want you to take this in consideration while you are listening to this work, and while you're sitting in the audience. The composer artfully marries a range of musical styles and genres. You will hear classic rock and roll. You will hear the fusion of Broadway musical, light operetta, cante flamenco, ranchera. You will hear Um, Even there's a connection to the Western melodrama, soap operas, okay? You will see a fusion of all of this. You will hear this married along with the mariachi. Martinez's score, like his father's, unfold essentially as a series of short, intoxicatingly engaging, tuneful numbers, really catchy. You will find yourself going around the home, I mean, you will sing this music for days after spending just an hour and 15 minutes of it. And it's mostly solos and duets. Another thing to note, traditionally, this is a little different, which I love. Instead of a conventional entrance by the conductor, which will be James Lowe, 3 mariachi musicians will casually walk onto the stage and begin playing a mariachi ballad on traditional instruments, the guitar, the guitarrón, and the vihuela. Usually, the conductor comes out, he greets the audience, he conducts. That will not happen. So look for that. That's a really special moment. It almost begins like a festival. It is also important to note that these 3 mariachi performers are virtuosic musicians in their own right. And in many ways, they actually form, these musicians form the musical nexus of the opera. They remain on stage, performing and singing just about the entire opera, whether they're downstage or upstage. It is quite phenomenal. So let's go through some of these tunes here. I think that's all the special notes I have before we break down the, it looks like my mouse decided to hide. Okay, so, there's another point about the ensemble. El Milagro's, the pit ensemble of strings and trumpets, I want you to really listen very closely in as how the ensemble mimics or tries to mimic the mariachi band, creating a sort of intermingling of the onstage counterpart with the orchestra. It is really beautiful to hear an orchestra along with the mariachi, and they're mimicking each other. It is a really, really nice situation there. The conductor, James Lowe, directs the group to fill the music with buoyancy and spirit. It is something to see. So here are a few climactic arias, duets, quartets, and the full ensemble to prepare for. We have Esta sí que es Noche Buena, Christmas Eve. You will hear this reoccurring aria, specifically in the beginning. It is a duet with Padre Matias and the mariachi. Una estrella, a star, is absolutely beautiful between Renata, Josefina, Padre Matias, and the mariachi. And the children are very much involved in this star. And then there's El Lamento de Santanas. This is hilarious. It is Satan's Lament. It is performed by the infectious grandpa Abba. And then we have Navidad in Mexico, Christmas in Mexico. You will hear this theme, you will hear this opera build throughout the entire opera, even to the finale, where it is a grand, it is todos, it's everybody, the voices, the mariachi, the orchestra. It continues to build throughout the entire opera. And then we have the sweetest lullaby, Cancion de Kuna, which is a lullaby. It gives you all things Mexico, and there are no sweeter lullabies than a Mexican lullaby. And Renata and Laurentino are singing their young son to sleep. Then we have Recuerda la Mariposas, remember the butterflies, sung by the young woman, La Mujer. And we have Chica Americana, which is so much fun, American Girl by Lupita and her husband, Chucho. su toque, her touch. And this is, to go back, this is the aria that touches me the most. This is a pivotal point in the opera where Abba, the grandfather, is realizing that, times are changing. And what if is it too late for me? What if I had gone and done the things that my son and daughter and family are doing? It is a very passionate aria, and I hope you lean into su toque. And then we have una serenata, which is traditional. It is so traditional of a serenata, and it's with Laurentino and the mariachi. And then we have the finale, Este Momento. Let's listen to a clip of Navidad in Mexico. Let's see if it'll pop up for me. We'll probably get a commercial.
I designed the Always Pan to replace 8 pieces of cookware. It can boil, saute, steam, strain.
And it's food. It's always food. You can expect to be on your feet as well. I mean, it is just dynamic. By the time you get to the finale, you're just like, ah! I do have a question here from Chai or Chi or Shy. It says, are there student rush or discount tickets for this one? Absolutely. Student rush tickets are $20, and you can go to the box office 2 hours before the performance. Hope to see you there, Shy. Okay, and our next aria that I'd like to present to you, I want you to really listen to what genres are fused into American Girl. I will ask you.
Lo que hacen los americanos.
Oh, I know why. Did you all not see the other one? You guys have got to tell me. You've got to tell me. Okay, I'm going to end the show, and hopefully this will work. It doesn't.
Una chica americana, ahora va andando por la calle, como Marilyn Monroe, todos le empiezan a silbar.
Soy una chica americana, en mi vestido perfecto, con un abrigo a juego, todas se han de preguntar.
Let's pause here. I think we have help. Technology help. I am a dinosaur when it comes to technology. Fantastic.
No problem. Also,
Don't go far. I have a question. Yes. Are there any daytime performances? Absolutely. We have two. I will have that for you in the slide. I don't want to misquote myself, but we'll have 2 matinees. One matinee in Phoenix, 1 matinee in Tucson. And I do believe they're at 2 o'clock. And I'll have those dates for you. 2 evening performances. December 5th.
shall I continue?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
¿Cuál es su secreto? El balanceo de sus caderas, el lustre de su cabeza. chicas americanas no cocinan, Renata. Soy una chica americana, siempre llena de alegría, lista con mis tacones negros para mi American Boy.
Soy un chico americano en mi traje dorado, como Elvis Presley, que soy liso, ay, mal chica.
Ahora piensa que es Elvis Presley.
Somos los americanos en un Cadillac flamante, con una casa muy grande y con alberca en el jardín. ¿Cuál es su secreto? Es el estilo del vestido, la sonrisa en sus labios. A lo mejor lo puedes adivinar.
Oh, wonderful. So he's going to get us back on track here. So who can tell me some of the genres that you heard infused into that aria that we talked about? Rock and roll, for sure. Broadway, absolutely. Can you tell me kind of what Broadway musical it reminds you of? You absolutely right. I want to be in America. Everything's free in America. Okay, by me in America. All right, you got it. So you're on it. Wonderful job. Wonderful. I love it. So those are some of just a few of the arias and the explosive moments and the climactic moments that happen in the opera. And I really, really hope you lean into them and understand how they came to be and just how they're arranged. Yeah, there's a lot of influence going on there. All right, let's talk about what's happening on stage. We know the time. What time period is it? What year? 1962. The place? Yes, Mexico. The action takes place in and around a small town, Michoacán, Mexico, in 1962. Specifically, the town plaza, if we were in Italy, the piazza, and Renata and Laurentino's home, and Lupita and Chucho's home, and a hillside in the Butterfly Reserve, which this particular city is known for, the monarch butterfly. The plaza has been decorated festively for the holiday season when the curtain opens. There are 3 beautiful children sitting there dressed as shepherds. They are Rafael, age 7, Araceli, 9, and Silvio, 11. And they're the matriarch of the family, Rafael's grandmother, Josefina, is arranging the children's costumes with nothing but joy. There's the priest who is on set. He is Father Matias, and he is singing to the children along with the 3 mariachi musicians. And they are practicing for a pastorela, a play performed around Christmas that recreates the nativity scene for the Bible and the birth, from the Bible, of the birth of Christ. That will be your first scene. Renata and Lupita, to note, are 2 young women raising their families in a small town, and their husbands, Laurentino and Chucho, spend much of their time working as braceros. Bracero is a term for temporary laborers working in the agricultural industry in the United States. And the family drama, okay, if you really want to know, the drama begins when Laurentino has started traveling north to the United States and becoming a bracero to make more money and to create a better quality of life for his family. Renata hates it. She hates it. And although Laurentino surprises his family with a visit at Christmas and everyone's really, really happy to see him, he provokes this ongoing argument with Renata during this traditional time about continuing his long work trips. When I say long work trips, 6 months, 3 months, who knows? We'll see you when we see you. You'll see me when you see me. So let's unpack this a little bit more, because I think that it is very important to, with our art form of opera, even though it is over 200 years old, it is still very much in today's times politically. That is the beauty about opera, that we can put it in today's times and resolve issues. We can build community. We can make conversations easier. We can look at political issues. And here, as I always do, I look at opera through the lens of equity. Our racial justice plus opera, the opera El Milagro del Recuerdo. So we're going to touch on this equity piece of the Bracero program. And the term bracero. In the opera, you will hear the term bracero often. To some, it is a derogatory word. To some, it is triggering, and it takes them back to a time of unfair treatment. In the 19th century, Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, and Mexican workers did most of the low-paid, physically demanding agricultural work in the West, states like California and Arizona. By the mid-20th century, most migrant guest farm workers in the West were Mexican, due in large part to the exploitative Bracero program, which brought millions. It brought over 5 million migrant guest farm workers to the U.S. from 1941 to 1964 to undercut domestic wages, break strikes, impede union organizing, and solve World War II's shortages, their labor shortages. This was a real thing happening. And migrant workers often lacked education for themselves, as well as their educational opportunities for themselves and for their children. They lived in poverty and terrible housing conditions and faced discrimination and violence when they sought fair treatment. Attempts to organize workers into unions were violently suppressed, but then there came a hero, an activist, an Arizona native and born, Chavez, Cesar Chavez. And he grew up in a family of migrant farm workers from Mexico who worked in California. He attended over 35 schools. Can you imagine that as a child? Over 35 schools, and each time he was punished and thrown out for speaking Spanish. Every single time, and had to drop out, which this isn't anything new for especially farm workers even today. I know even my great-grandparents, I believe one of them had only an 8th grade education so that they could drop out and help take care of the family, and that is exactly what he had to endure. However, he came about some beautiful work in his lifetime. In 1962, Chavez founded the National Farm Workers Association and later created the United Farm Workers with laborist activist Dolores, there's a woman, Huerta. And Chavez led nonviolent labor strikes, weeks-long fasts. Protesters faced violence, arrest, and protest, but the movement continued, and it established workers' rights to organize and secure better pay and working conditions on many farms that still exist today. Okay, lives had to be lost, and there are shoulders that we stand on today in this work. In September 1966, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. sent a telegram of support to Chavez, linking them as brothers in the fight of equality. And that statement was from the Equal Justice Initiative. It is very important to note as well that the Catholic Church opposed the bracero program, objecting the separation of husbands and wives and families, resulting in disruption of family life is what they said. Thus, aligning the opera, El Milagro, and Renata's musical thematic plea throughout, just consistently with Laurentino. Remember your family. Consistently. Her fear is losing her family bond and being separated from all that she knows, never knowing if he would ever return home. And the underlining theme here is the bracero program. It is the largest, and it ended in 1964. However, it was the largest foreign worker program in US history. All right, let's touch on a little bit of culture. And I promise not to keep you here 2 hours, but I just want to dig a little bit into, what keeps everyone together, the family as well as the audience. You know, in Mexico, Christmas is not a single day, it's a whole season. We get 12 days here, okay? 12 days of Christmas. Okay, we get 12. And it is very, very, very phenomenal. And it is a very serious holiday when it lasts 3 months in Mexico. So the traditional Christmas season in the United States, as you all know, is considerably short when compared to the season in Mexico, which stretches from Dia de la Virgen de Guadalupe on December 12th through Dia de la Candelaria on February 2nd. So we have December 2nd to February 2nd, December 3rd to February 2nd of Christmas, okay? That's a lot of Christmas. Many of the special festivities in Mexico during the Christmas season are a fusion of indigenous culture and Spanish cultures with pre-Hispanic symbols like the poinsettia, or if you're from Georgia like I am, you say the poinsettia, which decorate many homes and businesses throughout the holiday season, holding prominence. These prehistoric symbols and traditions intermingle with traditions from Spanish culture to create a season of festivities that are just uniquely and authentically Mexican. So the Day of the Virgin of Guadalupe is December 3rd through 12th. I'm just going to touch on a couple of facts here so that we don't, this is a lot of information. However, the Christmas season starts with this particular day. December 3rd through the 12th, you have the Christmas tradition of devotional prayer, consisting of public and private prayers lasting for 9 days, praying for 9 days. Okay, and it's to the Virgin of Guadalupe, which it begins, okay? On December 12th, the novena, it concludes with the Feast Day of the Virgin, which celebrates the 4th time the Virgin Guadalupe appears to Saint Juan Diego. And that is, this is the first Roman Catholic indigenous saint of the Americas who was born in Mexico in 1474. Mexicans celebrate this day with processions, special masses, and dances, and feasts, and pilgrimage to one of the most visited basilicas in north of Mexico, which is, let me see, I have it here. Where is it? Yeah, it's the basilica in the north of Mexico City, which is the most visited Catholic pilgrimage site in the world, and by singing Las Manitas, which are Christmas carols. So that is how the 3rd through the 12th goes in Mexico. And then the most popular, I believe, in the United States, I know, is Las Posadas. And that is from December 16th through the 24th. It is a series of processions and parties that take place to celebrate the Christmas season. In the most traditional of these processions are children dressed up as Mary and Joseph and parade through their neighborhood with their family and friends to reenact the part of the Christmas story where Mary and Joseph are looking for a place to stay in Nazareth, stopping at different houses in their neighborhood to ask for shelter. And then after the processions, there is a traditional, this is something that we are familiar with here in the United States, the traditional piñata. However, I learned something here about the significance of the piñata. A traditional star-shaped piñata is broken. The star-shaped piñata represents Satan, with its colorful ornamentation symbolizing distracting earthly delights. Traditionally, these piñatas have 7 points, which each representing one of the cardinal sins. The stick that is used to break the piñata represents the Christian faith, through which evil is defeated and the treasures of the piñata are released. So the candies represent the blessings, and the blessings shower upon the children and the family. How awesome. How come I didn't know that? No wonder there are piñatas everywhere. Okay. After the breaking of the piñata, there's feast, feast, feast. After everything, there is a feast served, and guests are given a small gift, bless you, a small gift usually consisting of cookies, fruit, and candies. And the posada ends with the singing of Christmas carols. What a beautiful night. Then we have our Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It is very important to note that Christmas Eve and Christmas Day runs completely differently in Mexico. We are used to opening Christmas gifts and doing all of our Christmas Eve celebrating before. But let's find out what happens in Mexico traditionally. The last posada of the season is Nochebuena, Christmas Eve, and is followed by the Mass of the Rooster. Here is something else I did not know. A late-night mass that gets its name from the belief that the birth of Christ was announced by the crowing of a rooster. Did not know that fact. The celebration includes sparklers, fireworks, kind of like our 4th of July. Wouldn't it be nice to have fireworks on Christmas Eve? I don't know. Yeah. Fireworks all the time, along with food and dancing. After the Mass is another traditional late-night feast that is followed by opening of presents. Not Christmas presents, but just presents at the strike of midnight. Now, Christmas Day is somewhat subdued and sedated, fairly quiet. It's an intimate fare where families are together, and they're recuperating from all the partying the night before. And they eat the traditional dinner that was made the night before. And gifts are not, like I said, usually opened on this day, although the cultural influence of the United States just means Santa is paying visits a little bit early in Mexico. And then we have the Day of the Saint and Innocents. Doesn't that sound so serious? But guys, this is like their April Fools. And so on December the 28th is Dia de los Santos Inocentes, Day of the Sainted Innocents, which marks the day when King Herod tried unsuccessfully to keep Christ from surviving by ordering all newborns in Bethlehem to be killed. In Mexico, this is a day of practical jokes, kind of like our April Fool's Day in the United States. It is good to note, though, on this day, the tradition is if you borrow something from someone, they don't have to give it back. April Fools! Then you have Dia de los Tres Reyes Magos, the Day of the Three Kings. It starts to get a little serious as there are just 2 more festivals left in the Christmas holiday. January 6th, we're now in January and we're still celebrating Christmas. celebrates the day the three wise men visited the newborn Jesus and presented him with their gifts. This is the day in the Mexican holiday season when it is most common for children to open gifts. Although the tradition of opening gifts has also infiltrated Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. One of the most important traditions of this day, and this is also something, it's funny because a lot of these traditions, some of their symbols like the poinsettia and the piñata and what we're getting ready to talk about now have so much influence in the United States. And this, what I'm about to talk about, is very prominent in Louisiana. And I have had this all the time. So one of the most important traditions of this day is the eating of the rosca de reyes, a sweet bread that is baked in the shape of a circle and topped with sugared and crystallized fruit, meant to resemble the jewels and the crowns of the three kings that visited the baby Christ. Baked inside the rosca is a little figurine of the baby Jesus. What do we call this in the United States? Does anybody know? We call this cake. Does anyone have king cake before? King cake? That's what that Spanish influence that you see, and if you get the thing is, in the United States, if you get the baby figurine in the cake, then you're lucky, you're blessed, and yay. Well, in Mexico, you find the figurine, you have to pay for the tamales and the atole, and you are also responsible for hosting the Candlemas party. So no one wants to bite into that baby, trust me. And then we have Candlemas. On February 2nd, the Christmas season in Mexico ends with Dia de la Candelaria, which commemorates the presentation of Christ child to the temple. Mexicans celebrate this day by bringing the infant Jesus figurines from their nativity scenes to church to receive a special blessing. And after the blessings, they celebrate the day by eating tamales and drinking atole, which is I said that a couple of times, it's a sweetened drink made from like a corn-based hominy, like flour, with their families and friends. The person, remember, who found that figurine in the piece of rosca on Three Kings Day is responsible for providing all of the food and the festivities. So that is the holiday. Let's meet the cast. I think it is very important for you to put your eyes on the cast as you will see them in traditional costuming. And I do want to note that this is, and I may be wrong, but I do believe that this is their debut, everyone's debut in this cast on the Arizona Opera main stage. So we want to welcome them. We've already met Javier Martinez, the composer, and Leonard Foyo, the director and librettist. Our conductor, we will have James Lowe. We will have as Renata, Cecilia Duarte. We will have Laurentino, Octavio Moreno. Lupita will be played by Vanessa Alonso. Chucho will be played by Miguel de Aranda. And Abba will be played by Hector Vasquez. And Josefina played by Claudia Chapa. We have Rafael Morris playing Father Matias. We have Zulimar Lopez Hernandez, our soprano, our only soprano in the opera. And she will play the role of La Mujer, the young woman. And we have the sweetie pie, Armand Delgado, playing little Rafael. And then we have Shelha Ouida, and she will play the cutie Araceli, the daughter of Chucho and Lupita. And then we have Emir Islas as Silvio. He'll be playing also the young Laurentino. And then you have Eleanor Field as the young Renata. And then we have our mariachi. On the guitar, we will have Vincent Pequeño. On the guitarrón, we will have William C. Galvez. And on the vihuela, we will have Israel Alcala. So we have come to the part where it looks like all of my notes are gone, which is fine. So I hope to see you guys at the opera. El Milagro in Phoenix, on our Phoenix stage, December the 3rd, Friday, and December the 4th, Saturday. We have 7:30 performances, and that Sunday on the Phoenix stage, we have our 2 p.m. matinee on December the 5th. You were right. And then in Tucson, we have December the 11th, we have our 7:30 performance. And on Sunday, December 12th, we have our 2 o'clock matinee. I would like to reiterate, what I'd like to reiterate again is for our question about the rush tickets, we also will have student night at the opera. So if you are at a Title I school, it's free of charge for you, in $5 for all college students, well, no matter your age. If you're a college student, come on. Children, please make sure that you have chaperones, okay? Just don't show up and you're 5. That was me. And it's $10 per chaperone. Arizona Opera, guys, has multiple ways to experience opera through our Red series, our main stage offerings, or educational and studio scenes. And we know you will find something that excites you, melts your heart, and inspires you to live brave, bold, and brilliantly. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. I'm sorry. The violin. The vizuela? The song. Zarzuela. You know, that's a good question. I don't have the answer for that. Cassie, are you familiar? In relation to the opera, the aria. So Cruzar, it's, you know what? You know, I may be wrong, don't quote me, but it probably, you know, because this is a prequel to the other 2, I would not be surprised if it is in relation to, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I need to look into that. Oh, the type of, the genre. Absolutely. That's a good question. I say it's a genre. I get it now, composition. That I don't know. That is something new for me to dig into. Thank you. And if I find out, if I see you at the opera, I'll try to have an answer for you. Any other questions for me? Well, thank you so much for being here on a Wednesday afternoon. Let me get my mask.